There are a lot more indoor at-home celebrations going on right now, but that doesn't mean it has to stop you from capturing amazing memories and getting amazing photos. If you're in the mood to capture some party shots, but you don't really feel like going all out, or you're kind of on a budget for fancy items, don't worry, because I've got 3 helpful functions for you all in one app to spice up your pictures. The app that we're going to be using today is completely free, so all you have to do is go into your app store and type in PicsArt, and you should see the home feed right when you open it up. So go ahead and import your pictures. So over here I have a confetti shot that I wanted to use and edit, but you can kind of see that all it is like a white background. I threw confetti in the air and it looks a little bit flat, right? So the first function that I love using on this app are the brushes. So on the bottom of the app, you'll see this toolbar, and I'm gonna scroll all the way to the right until I see brushes, click on it, and you can see that there are a bunch of options. On the bottom here, you can switch between the pen's usage. So for example, let's say I want to take this blue color. I can use it to literally draw on anything I want, but that's not really the look I'm going for. The second tool is a dotted pen line, and you can use it to create pretty gimmicky graphics. And don't worry, if you make a mistake, you can always undo by tapping the top left arrow. The third pen is a highlighted pen, and the one that we're really interested in is the sticker pen tool. The brush that I'm going to be using is this confetti so that it can match the confetti that I threw in the air to kind of give the whole image a more fuller look. So I'm just going to tap on the confetti, and you can already see that it's a very dense brush, and I don't really want that. I don't want it to completely take over the confetti that already exists in the image. So if you tap on the sticker again, you can see that you can adjust the size and the opacity. For this one, I think I'm gonna lower the opacity and increase the size so that I can just have, you see that? I can have like a very faint look, and it kind of adds to the volume of this effect that I have. That's like a very party look, right? You can drag the brush across the screen so that it continues the pattern, or what you can do is lightly tap on the screen, and you can see that it starts kind of like sprinkling across the page wherever you tap, okay? So it's up to you what you prefer. I think for this, I'm just gonna lightly drag the confetti across the screen, have a variety of sizes too. And I don't really want to cover my face anymore, but I am going to sprinkle it everywhere so that it makes the white background less empty looking. If you do find a place that you did make a mistake and you can't tap undo, you can always go to the eraser tool on the very far right, and you can adjust the size as well and just completely wipe away the same way that you've been brushing. And once you're done, go ahead and tap the apply button on the top right corner so that you can officially have that effect on your image. I've imported another picture to show you the other brush that I really like using. For this one, I'm going to be using this lights bouquet kind of look. So I always like to lower the opacity so it doesn't seem so obviously graphic, because you can see that when I do apply it on full, it looks really separate from the picture, and it is edited, but we don't want to make it super obvious that way as much as we can help it. So I'm going to lower the opacity and bring up the size, and also have a variety of opacities too. Okay, this looks pretty edited anyways, but we're gonna have a lot of different tools that we can use to like spice it up, you know? Tap a little on your face so it looks like it's not just missing your face on purpose. And then you can even come to this color and try it again. I don't suggest you go overboard if you can help it, although it is really fun and really addicting, I will say. I think the bigger the size, the more realistic it looks in reference to how your shot is. So if you have a more close-up shot like this, then maybe a bigger brush would look nice. Finally, I like adding stars and sparkles because who doesn't love sparkles? I really like the idea of like putting sparkles on glass, so I'm gonna add some. I also have some stars on my face. The whole edit of this image falls in line with the starry, sparkly, bubbly champagne look. Don't be too conservative with the editing on your body, because I think that's what helps it blend in with the whole image more. Don't forget that you can actually zoom in by pinching. Okay. And now our white background looks a lot more filled, and if you just hold on to it, you can see the before and after. This is a pretty like dramatic effect here, so you don't have to go so all out like I did. You can even just like add tiny bits of different brushes. Just note that if you do hit apply and you want to go back to brushes and erase what you did, I don't think that's an option anymore. So yeah, just be very wary of that. The second function that I want to show you is called effects, and it's also in the toolbar, so let's go ahead and open that up. You can see that there are a lot of different options on the bottom toolbar here. So the one that I want to target today is this one called Holiday Party, and obviously it looks really crazy right now, and you can see that over here you have different options for how you want it to sit on top of your image. But for this one, I think you can have multiply here and then just fade it all the way, so it kind of looks like it has like a starry night kind of vibe. So just have a little bit, play around, and I think I like this level for this image. It works especially well if you have a plain background, but if you don't, then you might not want to use this effect because it could be really busy looking. So if you don't like that, you can go all the way to the front and just hit none. The other effect that I thought was pretty nice was under Magic Galaxy. And again, it looks really crazy. It looks really like drawn on, right? So again, we're just gonna come down to fade. So I just want it to show a little bit because I feel like the dots help it look more like strobe light-ish. I can hit apply over here and I can come back to it again and layer it on top. One thing to look out for is how these effects change the color of your image. So if you see when I come over to screen over here, it lightens the whole image up, and that might be something that you might not want. Something that's also helpful under artistic effects is click on motion. You can see it, there's kind of like that blurry effect, and oftentimes when you have like a party look, it can kind of come off like a little bit too stale if there's no movement, right? So you can use this tool to help you create that movement here, and you can see there's a bunch of different options. If you click on it again, you can kind of have the distance higher the more motion you want to add to it. Like, whoa, I'm such a party freak. Let's say you do want to have like even more distance. Let's say here, right? But now our whole image is blurry and my face is blurry, and I spent all that effort on my makeup and everything, the whole photo shoot, just to take away from it. So that's not going to happen. I'm going to come up here to this top eraser tool. You can come over here and click select face. So now you can see the motion has only isolated my face, so only my face is blurry. And if that's the effect you want to go for and you want to just end here, that's completely fine, just for your own personal artistic preference. But instead, what you can do as well is come over to the bottom here, click invert, and now everything but your face is in motion. So I've opened up the confetti picture again because I want to show you how you can layer all of these functions that I'm teaching you right now together and create an even more dramatic or more convincing image. So come into effects again, and over on the bottom, scroll to blur, because I feel like it really finalizes the image. I want to be using something called radial blur, and you'll see that there's this like target symbol, so you can kind of adjust where you want the swirl to apply. If I want the drink to be in focus, I can put the target on the glass, and then everything else will be completely blurry and will surround the glass there. But in this case, I want my face to be the target over here, and again, you can tap on the effect to adjust. Zero blur looks like this, full blur like this, so I kind of want it somewhere on the lower scale of the spectrum. This is a pretty important step, okay? Because now it looks a little bit crazy. I want to come to the eraser tool that we learned earlier and make sure I'm selecting my face, invert again so that everything else is blurry. And on top of that, I don't want my hand and the glass to be too morphed in. So I'm gonna take the eraser tool, bring the size up a little bit, the opacity down, and the hardness down, and just lightly tap upon where I don't want it to have the effect. This might not work if you don't have a plain background. Let's say you have a chair in your background and then you have a swirly effect on top of it. It's gonna look a little bit weird. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. And finally, the third function that we're gonna be using is masks. So I've pulled up this image again, and we're gonna scroll to the toolbar all the way to the right, and you will see masks over here. The one that I want to use for this party look is lights, and you can see right next to it, it says bokeh. So really you can use this instead of the brush in case you like a more overlaid look. The brushes are a bit more specific, so if you want like a specific place and you have a lot of details in it where you don't want this mask to overlap on, you can use the brush, or you can use this option too. Okay, I'm gonna go into lights, and the one that I found to be really pretty is L21. So over here, you can see it adds to the effect now, right? One thing I really like about this is that you can change the hue. So depending on the effect or look that you want to go for, you can really customize it to the color scheme that you want. So in this case, the color scheme that I was looking for was more like greenish, bluish. And something that you can do is on the top here, there are different angles that you can use. Multiply, screen, whatever you want. Oh, see, this one's kind of like more like a fairy look, right? This lighten option. And I like that it's kind of falling upon my eyes like this. So maybe I'll use this. This could be a look. Try anything and everything. If you really like some parts of it, but you don't like the rest of it, come to erase. Turn up the size. Go crazy. The other one that I really like was L13. See, now it looks like I've got a spotlight on me. Don't forget, you can layer all of them, okay? I think you should start off the project with an idea in mind with how you want this to look. Maybe find some inspo. Maybe this is your inspo, I don't know. But having something in mind will help you figure out how you want to edit your pieces. In this case, I think it might even be appropriate to isolate your whole like person. So you can just come here, select, and just press person. If you invert it, it'll be in the background. The other mask that I really like are
Prisms.
I feel like the prism effect is kind of like the cherry on top of this whole celebratory look. So I'm not sure if all of these are free, but the one that is Prism 9. I really like that it's got like a hint of rainbow, the kind of like swirly effect.
Very party-esque.
And don't be afraid to play around with the angles too. I feel like it makes all the difference. Maybe have it on my body. This looks good. You have to be kind of wary with lens flare because sometimes it just doesn't make sense, you know? Even though you really want to, and I'm kind of tempted to. Should I do it? Should I do it? Maybe a really light one? Yeah, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense because lens flares comes from sun. I mean, none of this really makes sense because you're like throwing on edits, so really it's a personal preference. The one that I really wanted to use was this kind of rainbow effect. I want it to surround me almost. Try to keep the color consistent. I think that would probably be the biggest telltale, that they're all different layers. Because it's like a lights effect, I don't think it matters too much, but I think for consistency reasons and for the whole image to get pulled together, I think it's best if you try to use similar hues. If you're going to layer different masks and effects and everything, I really would advise to keep the opacity lower so that you can have more room for it to be buildable. And now we can see the before, after, and yeah, definitely note that it does change the original color composition that you had. So if you want, you can come all the way to the front of the toolbar, hit on tools, hit adjust for some counterbalance. So because it was really faded, I'm gonna add some more contrast so that I can bring more depth into the subject again, me, and maybe throw in some shadows. I wouldn't worry too much about it unless you really wanted to keep your original color composition. And now you can see it didn't take away too much from the shadows of my image. Another mask that you can use to add to this whole effect is come into Artistics, and then you can see there's a bunch of like blurry strobe light situation going on. If you've been following my specific edit, it's been following the theme of lights, so I think in this case it's kind of appropriate. Let's say you have a prop that's going downwards, you can even just change it to apply on top so it looks like it's going along with the direction of your prop, so really pay attention to those things.
This is kind of real crazy.
Okay, once you're done with everything, your final image, hit apply, press next, and then press save. Download photo, and now it'll be in your album. Ta-da! So now you have all the tools that you'll need to create your celebratory look. If you want to see the final edits of these shots, behind the scenes of how I created all of them, and also the very simple props to help you get started, then make sure to check out my Instagram. It's linked down below, and don't forget to follow me there for more creative photography ideas. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and if you do recreate the pictures, please tag me on Instagram because I really want to see them. Make sure you click on the bell to turn on notifications for my channel because in my next video, I'm going to be talking about what got me here in front of the camera today, and it might help you get started too. Now you know what to do, so go ahead and make something you're proud of. See you next time. Bye!